people like dip. It makes you so dizzy. The first time I dipped in college, I had a hangover. I had no idea it was like that. No fucking idea. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know, just musing. I'm going out to dinner later, just talking. Have some time to kill. I wanted to partake. I have all this stuff I'm dealing with. It's like stressful. It's like all this unknown stuff. Corporate tax shit. I have like, that's March 15th, the limited partnership stuff. I've got I have an investor I have to like fly out to see because I'm fucking her. So, keeping up with the Joneses, like I have to do lots of things. That's not going to end well, is it? See the nightmare? Older woman, wealthy, having to spend money to see her when my goal is to make her money, Not that I like her, but like it's just not appropriate. But we both are like fully aware of it. I don't know what to do about it. I do like going out to LA with her though, because I hate LA and she makes it tolerable. I always do staycations. I get like a hotel. Maybe I'll stay at the Chateau Marmont. I'll stay at the Chateau Marmont this time or something like that and just chill with her. Kind of a weird, like cold LA vibe. She wanted to go to like a thing for my birthday. I don't celebrate my birthday. She's like, why don't you celebrate your birthday? It's like, I bought you a $1,700 leather jacket for Christmas. Leave me alone. I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I don't like, are you going to buy me a birthday present? Celebrate my birthday by me taking everyone out to dinner. People will take me out to dinner. That's enough. But like, then I have to celebrate with her. I'm like, what? Jeez. Like, I have to pretend to be like someone I'm not. I have to put my foot down with women, even in this scenario where you have to be like mindful of the fact that they gave you money. It's like you have to be grateful and all that stuff. But it's like, dude, I can only tap dance so much. I want to be myself. This one of our mutual friends is like, her oil analyst said that oil prices will be affected for 2 weeks after the Maduro capture. I'm like, that's fascinating. Does he have a direction? Oh, it's not a man, it's a woman. So I'm like, well, based off of the 2003 in Iraq, oil prices will probably go down because there's a lack of volatility. But the fact that your analyst didn't have a fucking direction and is a woman and just said, oh, they'll be affected for, what the fuck does that mean? Either the price goes up or down. Give me a number. Give me a range. It's such a useless piece of information. But this is how women are. It's like they guilt trip you constantly. But the difference is now when you have an investor who's giving you real money and you have to fuck her, it's like you're kind of cucked. But I cucked myself. And I have to do the partnership stuff and taxes. And I'm like, we've got all this like compliance shit coming up. It's a lot. Wouldn't it be so much better just to be like completely kept, where I get like dividend checks from my company. I don't have to worry about shit. All the wage guys, it just like their taxes are taken out of their thing. Having your own business is like walking on nails sometimes. It's so stressful because you just don't want to make little mistakes, Don't want to make little mistakes. I think every time people talk about someone selling out, I'm like, how privileged you have to be to sell out? Like, you wish you could sell out. The guy online saying, that guy sold out, bro. Sneeko saying that Andrew Tate's a billionaire. He doesn't need more money. Why is he taking the gambling endorsement? I'm like, do you know how hard it is? Like, the right you have, the privilege of having the gambling endorsement means you're doing well. At what point is it acceptable that like someone can just do whatever the fuck they want to do and be grateful for the opportunities given without some asshole coming by and saying, dude, that, I know they're just engagement farming. I understand that, but like still, it's like, it's so hard for someone to just give you money. You know, it took Nick Fuentes 10 years to get a fucking gold endorsement opportunity, and he might turn it down just because of like his image. He doesn't want to taint it with the whole, sponsorship thing, and or just objectively he hates doing, reading ads. He hates it. He hates Ben Shapiro doing I think Ben Shapiro went to someone's funeral and did like an ad read. I swear to God, he doesn't want to do that. But the privilege to have someone offer you money to just every show say, hey, do you want to buy gold? Go to webuygold.com. That's fucking awesome. Everyone would kill for that. But then people online are like these brokies. Oh, he's such a sellout. You pay your rent and you're grateful for it. And you're grateful to have enough money to buy pot and smoke your little like one hitter, and like you're upset that someone's like making bank. It's like, come on, man. When they did like the Wall Street Occupy Wall Street thing, they had a fake HR guy from Goldman go around to the tents and say, hey, we really like your progressive ideology. We'd like to offer you a position at Goldman in the HR department for $700,000 a year. Instantly, these people who are like anti-capitalism, like, dude, yeah, totally, I'll take it. Of course you would. Of course you would. Even if you don't believe in like altruistic capitalism, or that phrase is, like where you're like, if I take the money, then I can do good and stop the corruption, the evil greed on Wall Street. Dude, you're just like getting yours. It's okay. It's like no man should ever judge another man based off like where he is in comparison. You get your bag, someone else gets their bag. Don't bring them down. Nothing will ever be perfect for them. You don't know what they're going through. Just be grateful. He's getting his bag. He's getting his bag. Where it becomes disingenuous is like the pretense and other people, the manipulation, using your platform to like trick people, to get people to do certain shit. Nothing about Andrew Tate to me is offensive. Like, he fucks bad bitches. He takes care of his kids. And he keeps that pretty much private. You just think he's like not a dad. He just like rails girls, but also has some sort of like moral, like kind of Muslim thing with like, I'm not a pornographer of sorts, even though he kind of is. Like, there's this weird like imperfection of people. This you're a hypocrite. You're a double entendre. There's all this weird stuff. It's like, yeah, but people that find God go through that. They kind of go through the gamut. They're imperfect. That's what leads you to God, is like making mistakes. So people shouldn't be judged by that. Like, I still maintain Andrew Tate did not make his money from webcamming. He made his money from laundering money through the Romanian mob and others vis-a-vis webcam studios, because they're very lucrative to that end. Isn't it crazy? We just like go into another country and just pick up people. The feds do this all the time. There are a bunch of people in like federal holding that like they heard on a phone talk to some interested party that they were wiretapped on, talking about like maybe like moving drug money or buying an apartment in Miami. They'll go get you. They'll go get you in Colombia and bring you back and charge you with like conspiracy. It's crazy. The RICO Acts in the 80s, once that conspiracy thing happened, it's nuts. Also, if your friend, not going to speak specifically, if your friend is like a very, very successful drug trafficker, and this and you don't turn them in, you can be charged. If your friend gives you $10,000, flies you to Vegas on a private jet, gives you $10,000 to like buy hookers and stuff for the weekend or whatever, and just says, here's money, have fun, and he gives it to like other friends too, and you're like, you just like blindly ignore this. If you know where the money comes from, you're like technically you're a party to money laundering. You're a party to racketeering. So, it's interesting how that works. Like, Maduro is allegedly this drug trafficker, but like, what about the guys in Peru, Bolivia, Colombia? Like, what about the Mexican drug cartels? How come we're not like taking out Sinaloa? It's a little weird. It's a little weird. It's the southernmost part of South America. The drugs actually originate further up. People don't buy their cocaine from Venezuela. I do like the Dr. Disrespect juxtaposition with Maduro on the flight with the mustache. I kind of dig it. Talented. talented. And then at first, Dr. Disrespect was really upset about it, or he was feigning to be upset online, and then he just took the Maduro pic where he has like the blind like glasses on, and the Nike jumpsuit. He just made that his avatar on X. I fucking love that. You embrace it, embrace it. You know, I always felt like. I remember when Martin Shkreli like put a bounty on someone getting a piece of hair from Hillary Clinton, like $10,000 per hair or something. He actually had his bond revoked or something for that, or something. It wasn't good for his case. It made him look bad. He kind of was walking on water at that point in time in his head, and he still got that 7 years, did 5. It's like, why would you like? If you're Hillary, you shouldn't condemn. You should be out. That would have made her cooler. Is if she's like, man, I can take you. Come and get it. Come get this. She's surrounded by Secret Service all the time. She should have used that opportunity to see the growth of social media and Gen Z being a big problem, especially for the Democratic Party, and embrace and be like, come get it. Come get it, bitch. Like, that would have been funny. And she'd have this back and forth with Shkreli online. That instead of just putting him down or like making a phone call to have his bond revoked or cited and having a gag order or whatever, like, it would have been cool to play it up. But Hillary Clinton didn't do that. She got Martin Shkreli in trouble, and it hurt his sentencing. So that's not good. What's this about? I'm just talking. Yeah, I'm talking about Maduro. We'll talk about Maduro a little bit. I think that U.S. foreign policy in South America is the extension of the Monroe Doctrine. We're trying to protect U.S. interests as Russia, Brazil, India, and China work together to undermine the U.S. dollar as reserve currency of the world. And so taking over the most known offshore oil reserves in the world, known reserves, not like total field, which is Saudi Arabia, but known reserves. That is another like basket for us to maybe do away with federal income tax. That is another basket for enriching the United States in the AI wars, the chip wars. That is another basket of diplomacy where, imagine if you hate the cities falling apart in the United States, maybe like Central and South America get better and people start being like expats in these areas. Maybe FACTA is removed a little bit. FACTA is where like if you're a U.S. foreign citizen, like you're a U.S. citizen but you live in another country, you have to pay your taxes still on any income you make anywhere. You make your money in Australia, you make it in Russia, you make it in South America, you still have to pay your federal income tax. USA only cares about itself, white acting like they are the saviors of the world. Yes, based. Yeah. The pretense is that we are spreading democracy. The reality is that we only care about ourselves. That's correct. Like people talk about the Kurds, like, oh, we went into Iraq to protect the Kurds from Saddam Hussein. I'm like, no, we don't give a fuck about the Kurds. We don't give a fuck about anybody. You're exactly right. Like, why are we talking about like this or that in other countries where there's apartheid? Well, they don't have oil. Like, it's natural. Yeah, you're right. The human greed of everything. It's like to maximize your position of power to fortify your empire. Brazil is, not necessarily a problem, but the BRICS as a whole, Russia and China specifically, are trying to undermine the U.S. dollar as reserve currency of the world. That is a big problem. Our largest export, other than liquid natural gas and compressed natural gas, is the dollar. Now, how does the dollar, the most important thing in the world in terms of like the largest exported commodity? In order to buy U.S. Treasury bonds, which are guaranteed, you need dollars. To be China, in order to trade with the United States, to have that fastest growing GDP since the 1960s, you need dollars, right? So you need to settle everything in dollars. If you're a U.S. citizen anywhere, how do you pay your taxes? Dollars. So ironically, in the circular argument, if you want to buy risk-free U.S. Treasury bonds, Saudi Arabia, one of the largest holders, China, one of the largest holders, you need dollars to settle the interest, to accept the payments, the interest payments. The reason it's risk-free is because we print money to pay the interest. The reason we can do that is because the dollar is the most sought-after currency in the world. It's the most desirable. We have third world countries, and the IMF does this and says, you want to have debt, you should peg it to the US dollar. And then we basically determine their local government policy based on that, because they can default and we just take over everything. Kind of similar to what we did in Venezuela without the force. We could have easily have done something like that. We could have had them default. We did this in Argentina. We've done this in Puerto Rico. But in African countries, it's been most prominent. I think we are ahead of a bog war. It's just a matter of time. I think we are ahead of a bog war. A bog war. What's a bog war? Big war. Well, the war's already happening. So we have a hot war in Ukraine, right? That is a war that we are implementing through proxy. We're giving Ukraine everything. Frankly, Russia's winning the war. There's no reason why they should ever settle. We're actually in this weird public relations battle with Russia where we offer these terms and we make them look unreasonable in terms of ending the war and creating a ceasefire. But Russia's winning. There's no reason for them to ceasefire. They're kicking Ukraine's ass. You know, so it's kind of silly. And then you see this attack on Putin's residence, which might be fake. 'Cause if you watch the video, the drones barely do any damage. It just then makes Putin justified in going after Zelensky further. I think Zelensky will be hanged. If he doesn't run away from Ukraine, he will be hanged in a public square or arrested, and you'll never hear from him again. He's taken so much money from the U.S. government and enriched himself. Look at his wife's shopping sprees in London. It's just like Asma al-Assad, the Desert Rose in Syria. That's Bashar al-Assad's wife. Western educated, I think she went to King's College. And she goes on these shopping sprees, fancy bags, Birkins, all this stuff, hundreds of thousands of dollars in London, in Paris. They all do this. Zelensky was a fucking actor on TV. He was a puppet that the West installed. And like part of the ceasefire agreements are like having this sort of like you're not exercising Section 5 or whatever, Article 5, where you become a UN nation or a United Nations country. You're protected by these countries. But rather you have this unofficial association where you're part of it. You become part of this League of Nations unofficially. In other words, if Russia attacks you, you'll get the defense of the countries around you in Europe, which is ridiculous. Russia's winning. They're never going to agree to a ceasefire. They're going to win. Soon, I would not be surprised if we help Iran get toppled by Israel. And the Abraham Accord countries will expand. The greater Israel will be fortified. And then we'll move on to China, Taiwan, and Russia more directly. If anything about the relation between U.S. and Morocco and South Sahara case, I don't know enough about U.S. Morocco. I've been to Morocco. I've been to Tangier, Casablanca, and my friend has a house in Tangier. He's British. We went to school together in England. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know enough about it. I have this JT DuPont lighter. It's much nicer. But it's impossible. You can't light anything with it. It's basically just for going out. It has a beautiful sound when you just flick it. But anyways, yeah, so the world is, we're at war. It's happening right now. Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign in Ohio will fortify Anderill's government contracts. J.D. Vance will fortify SpaceX's government contracts. See, that's the thing. You don't think that the tax revenue that left when SpaceX moved to Austin, that Gavin Newsom's not going to punish Elon Musk? Not going to punish the Tesla guy who also moved Tesla headquarters away? Of course he is. Of course he is. That's why J.D. Vance is one of those people. It's not just like the Jews and Palantir. It's also like these technocrats are like embedded in the system to make themselves and their ancillaries rich. They all have a piece of the pie. And part of that installing these government contracts under a Republican regime. Now, Silicon Valley is now conservative, or they're part of the Republican regime, and I imagine that it's going to be almost insurmountable. JD Vance is inevitable. Even though he's a shill, he's fake. He's changed his name 6 times. He's gay. His wife is, So, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. The dude has no aura. Such a fat fuck, man. He's spiritually fat no matter how skinny he gets. He could mew forever and fucking just clavicular that up and it won't matter. He's always going to be fat. He isn't interesting. That Nick Shirley kid is another ass. Wait for him to start pumping Vance. It's going to happen. What do you say? So there's the South Sahara wants independence with the help of Algeria and Russia and South Africa and Morocco recognize Israel in order to help them keep it and get U.S. help also. I'm sure. No doubt. I am surprised that China didn't step in and do more to protect Venezuela because of their ties with Maduro. Syria has no natural resources. So letting Bashar al-Assad get asylum in Russia, that's just that makes sense. But then allowing Javier Milei and Argentina, the largest lithium reserves, to fall under Western power under the New Monroe Doctrine, that's one more slight where it actually matters, the lithium you need. Now, China has large lithium reserves, but still, your enemy, the United States, just took that over. All those FTC charges by Lina Khan against Elon for that transaction when he bought Twitter disappeared. And he started promoting Javier Milei on the platform during his run for president. Very interesting. And he skipped his first presidential visit, which the president of Argentina normally goes to Brazil, but he went to Israel, of all places. How fascinating. And then, what was it? Oh, yeah. So Maduro, obviously, that largest offshore oil reserves that are known in the entire world, those fall to the West. It's what is the war here? China, okay, step it up. You have you have hypersonic missiles. Where's all that shit? Fuentes talks about in the next 6 to 18 months, there's going to be literally a real terrorist attack with drones, whether it's a false flag or something else. But if it is a false flag, it would be designed to instill U.S. MAGA base, pro-America, whatever, against some sort of enemy. Probably not Muslims in this case, now that Iran's fallen. That would already have happened. So what will it be? Anti-Slavic rhetoric, anti-Russia rhetoric, anti-China rhetoric? It's very weird. You recall the when Intel appointed their new... My friend keeps texting me, sorry. When Intel appointed their new CEO, Trump didn't like it. He thought the guy was literally called him a Chinese spy. Okay. But anyway. I saw Clavicular the other day have 30,000 people watching his shit, and then it dropped to 7. And instantly. I'm so is that fake? Is this all fake? Everyone's just on here doing their shit and it's just made up? Should I hire some people in black masks to come through the door and tie me up and beat the shit out of me and steal my safe or something? Will that help? What is the game? Should I just take a hammer and start bashing my zygos? What is the thing? What is the thing that everyone's so interested in with that guy? Kim Kardashian, when she was in Paris and her apartment was robbed, I think it was completely staged. It was completely full of shit. It's you have better things to rob than a girl with her Birkin bags. You're gonna rob Birkin bags from a bitch? Who gives a fuck? Rob Hermes. How much fancy jewelry does she possibly have? In Paris, She can borrow it and it's just, she has security. That just seemed completely fake. Anyways. I feel like some of these like online people that are like influencers or whatever, their whole life is like a show. They're like writing TV shows every day, creating drama. All the borderline personality disorder girls that I know, what they like would be shy, you know, to like do stuff online, you know. You also can't really badmouth them to their face, so, you know, like, you know, you have mental health problems. They'd be like, you do. I'm like, okay. Anyways, let's see what's going on X. I'm going to place across from the proper. It's like Asian fusion place in a second. Do you think there's some sort of thing with Candace Owens where she's so retarded it like turns people on that watch her show? Like there's like this like attractive woman who's like retarded, and there's something about like her retardism that is endearing. You know? Like is there some sort of like dominant shut the fuck up. Oh, let me just put this on do not disturb, bro. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. There we go. She's just so like, who watches that bitch? If you watch her long form, like her actual show, it's incoherent. You can't understand what she's talking about. It's like if I did meth and cocaine and Molly together, and I like was playing, I don't know, what was it? Like some sort of weird like word association game, it would be not as bad as her. She just like loops thoughts together, combines things that don't make any sense, goes off on tangents that are unrelated when she runs out of steam on one topic. But for clip farming, for clip engagement, it works. But she hasn't really gotten better at long form since Rogan 7 years ago. Her whole thing with Erica Kirk is fake because like she was the former head of comms at TPUSA when she got on Rogan in the first place. There's no way she has animosity towards her old business. It's fake. It's the whole point is that they're losing the battle to alternative right-wing independent people online like Nick Fuentes. They're trying to like bring it back by creating fodder and forcing a guy like Fuentes to comment on it. You know, it's like they want to isolate the actual drama or the world, the story, and make everything that's happening that's relevant their drama that they're curating. Instead of someone commenting on how the world is like this, that, or the other, that's obfuscated by players in politics and it's redundant and old, they're creating new content by creating bad guy. Like Candace is a bad guy that was astroturfed to be the bad guy. Tucker Carlson was the same thing. I don't necessarily think that it was Dominion voting machines and their settlement with Fox that brought him to the online media and having his show on X. I think someone said this is either A, an untapped market where you can have enormous market share because there's no one else doing it with your money, your type of money. Like Oman Malik that backed him, like a billionaire, like giving you tons of money, and you have the Swanson Family Trust Fund fortune. So big advantage over someone like Nick Fuentes. And then a Candace is like, well, you need a bad guy. You need a crazy psycho bitch. You need the Megyn Kelly light of like online social media to get the Gen Z people. But more than that, you're creating a golem. You're creating a false straw man to say this is a bad person. And then TPUSA like attacks Candace, and then someone like Nick Fuentes is on the outside. You know, that's what that is. And they're creating new content, but Nick's commenting on old shit. So that's like, that's interesting. I'm just going through X right now. I'm seeing what's up. I don't like egg that much, and sometimes like fancier, the fancier the Asian fusion place, like a nicer version of Katsuya in LA, the more the egg becomes prominent, and I just don't like it. I hate eggs. I'm not a big fan. Normally in fried rice it like is hidden, but I don't know. That's the one thing I just like. So like this rice would be so good if it didn't have fucking egg in it. Or like faker egg. Yeah, this is weird. Some dude bet on the Maduro thing before, what was it? Polymarket was like a $32,000 bet, made 400 G's, that by the end of January, Maduro would be captured. What the fucked up thing is, could you like see lines like that in the government and then be like, nah, I'm going to bet against it? Because I'm the one making the decision. I'm the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Or I'm the press secretary, and my cousin is like a trader at E-Trade or some shit. Well, let's make a deal. Usually, are they considered securities? Hold on, let me see. Are event bets securities? Yeah. So I guess you could do that and manipulate them. So who's overseeing that bet? Like, let's ask ChatGPT. Will it let me do this while I'm online? I think so. Oh, Val, who is overseeing and regulating the event-driven like markets like Polymarket?
The event-driven prediction markets like Polymarket are usually overseen by financial regulators depending on the jurisdiction. In the US, for example, the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, often has authority if markets involve contracts that look like derivatives or futures. In other countries, similar financial regulatory bodies may get involved. It's a bit of a grey area, and sometimes these platforms seek to avoid offering contracts that count as regulated financial instruments. It's definitely a topic that's evolving.
Well, just for my own clarification, if I bet on Nicolas Maduro being captured, as someone did on Polymarket, they actually put this prop out themselves. They bet on it. I don't know. Maybe they didn't originate the option, but $32,000 bet on Nicolas Maduro being captured by the end of January makes $400,000. How is that? Who's overseeing that?
So something like that is actually a regulatory grey zone. In the US, the CFTC might consider it an unregistered event contract if it's too close to a futures contract. Polymarket itself got in trouble with the CFTC before for offering unregistered event contracts. So if someone places a huge bet like that, it could draw attention. Ultimately, these platforms have to comply with whatever regulatory body applies. If they don't, they risk being shut down or fined.
But it's not a huge bet. It's 30 grand. So you're telling me that bet, if someone in the government knowingly decided to push up the capture Maduro to place a bet to enrich themselves, that would be fine?
No, that would absolutely not be fine. If someone in government manipulated events for personal gain, that's classic corruption, criminal under any jurisdiction. Even if the bet seems small, the act of using inside power for profit is illegal. The size of the bet doesn't matter. What matters is the abuse of public trust and position.
What is the statute where it's illegal?
In the US, abusing public office for personal gain falls under anti-corruption laws. Think the federal bribery statute, 18 U.S.C. section 21, or honest services fraud, 18 U.S.C. section 1346. If someone with insider power manipulates events for profit, whether on a...
Okay, time out. What if you're not manipulating? What if you just know it's going to happen because of your position in government? Just like Nancy Pelosi with like the CHIPS Act or something, betting on NVIDIA.
Even if you're not actively manipulating, trading on material non-public information due to your position is still illegal.
But every congressperson does that. So what are you talking about?
I get where the frustration comes from. There's definitely public debate on congressional stock trading. While legal carve-outs exist for things like blind trusts or broad market funds, Trading on specific insider knowledge is still against the law. There are rules like the Stock Act. The enforcement might feel inconsistent, but the law.
But Nancy Pelosi has made bets based off of her counsels that before like the news comes out about what policies are going to be, like which companies will be covered on the CHIPS Act. So like, do you see how that's like a problem? Like how is that not, how is she not charged?
You're right, it's a huge concern many people share. While lawmakers can trade, the Stock Act is supposed to ensure they don't use inside knowledge. Enforcement, though, can be slow or murky, especially when trades are indirect. But public scrutiny is pushing for reform. In short, even if it looks unfair, the legal framework is there. The issue is often enforcement or loopholes that people are trying to close.
I think it's a very weird bet. It's a very weird bet. I would not be surprised if someone in the securities, or not security, the services, the defense services made that bet. That's a very weird. It's a low amount of money. It's a huge 10x, more than that. It's like 12x. It's a huge return. It's a low amount of money though. It seems like some like normal person placed that bet. You know what I mean? Like, what are the caps in Polymarket? Like, how much can I wager? Does it matter?
Polymarket typically caps individual bets, and those limits can vary based on the market. It's not like a traditional casino. You won't see millions thrown around. The caps are often in the thousands or tens of thousands per market, depending on liquidity. So while it's possible for someone normal to make a 5-figure bet, these markets are more limited than, say, a stock exchange. But yes, the scale is usually smaller.
So would I have been able to make a bet like 100 grand, or would that require like additional vetting, or what would that be?
On Polymarket, you wouldn't just be able to drop a 100k bet casually. They have liquidity constraints and caps, so you'd likely hit limits. Bigger markets might allow more, but for a large bet like that, you'd probably be dealing with multiple transactions and liquidity providers.
Do you think interactive brokers and larger brokers for, public equities, that they'll start to adopt private equities, kind of like FGB Global and Hive, and then also predictive markets as well, just to be competitive? Because like, why not, right?
It's possible that large brokers could expand offerings, especially with rising interest in private markets. We're already seeing platforms offering access to pre-IPO shares or private equity. Predictive markets might be trickier given regulatory hurdles. But as demand for alternative assets grows, brokers may find ways, assuming regulations catch up. It's a slow shift, but innovation usually follows demand.
Cool. Thanks. I'm going to get back to the show. Yeah, that's a crazy bet, man. That's a crazy bet. Good for him, or he or she. The Bucks beat the Panthers. Good for them. Good for them. Finally a win. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't even know what to say to that. That's just nuts. What's going on here? The doc. The doc.
Big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy, very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Grab his ass right out the air. To Maduro about when you spoke.
Well, I don't want to get into the conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said,
what's he going to do?
You got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras who was convicted many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly.
He let him go as a political reason. He's like, okay, well, like, you guys all like him. Okay, you can have him back. Yeah, okay.
I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. Sure. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. Yeah. That's why I gave him a pardon.
Right, there's probably more to it.
Probably. Like why you gave the Binance guy.
Boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
No, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela.
You gotta get the oil.
People from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela.
Yeah.
And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final. In which case I'll go one more.
It's about Putin, if you want.
About Putin? Well,
okay.
That's always nice.
You had a phone.
Oh, God.
You had a phone call with him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't. We never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now?
Are you mad at him right now? Oh my God. I love this. So are you mad at Putin? Straight to the point, yeah. You mad? I love how Putin didn't even talk about Maduro. I don't give a fuck about him.
At all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't. We never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this intelligence.
I'm not thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled.
He's mad. Yep.
With Putin.
He is.
He's killing too many people. I thought that would be so.
Are you mad? Yes,
I'm
mad.
8 1/4.
Oh, there he is.
War. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about.
They had a war, if I remember that correctly. This was a war over some fucking temple or some shit like that, and they were fighting each other over some ancient Buddhist temple, and then it was over in like a day. It did not, like, I only got one video out of that.
5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words,
8 1/4 of wars. Okay.
Settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace, so I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's not.
How about that,
They both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions, we send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away.
Yeah.
But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities, a much smaller number, but they're being killed.
There are
viciously
civilians that get killed in Ukraine.
So I'm not happy
Not as
about it.
many.
I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think
he's using the idea of the deaths. I don't think public relations matters in the United States anymore in terms of U.S. politics and convincing people. Let me turn off my reverb. I think most of the political rhetoric is the after effect of convincing people that we're doing the right thing when we've already made a decision. We don't need the public on our side. We have too many people online. We have too much manipulation. We're already planning on things that involve the kind of destruction of your own precepts of thoughts of like free will by using AI and search algorithms to kind of guide you from product A to product Z, but also from like an idea of like what's best and what's comfortable for you. You've gone from like, in just 20 years, like going out to dinner with your friends and like having a normal life to being more online than you've ever been before. And is that a good thing? I also think there's a class warfare going on where like the more money you have, the less you have to be online. And it's better. It's just a better lifestyle. And that's sad that some people feel like they cannot connect to people normally, that they have to like be online, or worse yet, that everything instigates online. And I think it was much cooler we just go out and meet people. And I think like in a college town like Georgetown in DC, I think UT's 6th Street, that's still viable. But there's so many people that are just like this. And like that's part of the re-engineering of like the social terraforming fabric of society. And the government's already doing this. But in the end, I don't think public sentiment towards U.S. operations really matters at all. And as AI gets implemented in every sector, as social credit scores are adopted, I really don't think it matters. So convincing people that Russia's bad, I don't think anyone gives a fuck. They just care about their Netflix subscription. They care about like, can I order like goy slop and make sure that it gets there in a reasonable amount of time where it's still hot? You know, they don't care. They want their rent paid. They want their porn. Greatest microcosm of this is like Elon using pornography like 1996 all over again, the commercialization and the profiteering of pornography to make the internet viable through payment processors like PayPal. He did it all over again by allowing and lowering the mechanisms for Grok's AI system to allow for the manipulation of images into videos that are kind of inappropriate pornography. This is a guy who protected children and said the reason I'm not going to give Alex Jones backs on the platform and checkmark is because of what he said about the Sandy Hook children. I care about I care about young kids. I lost a kid of mine to the trans movement. Vivian Musk, where the fuck her name is. Okay. Fine, but why are you promoting pornography? Because in the end, you want to beat ChatGPT. You're pissed off that fag Sam Altman beat you, tricked you by converting the nonprofit that was OpenAI into something for himself and taking market share. And you're like, that's not fair. And you want your cake and eat it too, and you bend the rules as you see fit. Well, the U.S. government does the same. And Trump's saying that like he doesn't like seeing Russians die. He doesn't give a fuck. That's pretense. That's why he's negotiating with Zelensky and giving the terms out in public without Putin being there. It's fake. It's fake. They don't know what else to do. They think they still have to do that. I don't think that they do. I don't think that they do have to do this. Other than in the sphere of voting that maybe a Democrat would come in and say like there's this corruption or something. They have to be mindful of like controlling the narrative. In terms of another demagogue taking power, a demagogue being like a populist, from the other side. So I don't know. But in the end, there's no Republicans, there's no Democrats, there's just the haves and the have-nots, and there's nothing else about it. That's it in a nutshell. Okay, I have dinner soon. I'll stream for one more minute. I want to get to 50 minutes. 50 minutes is a good show. It's a good stream. These people that do it like all day long, I'm like, shoot me. You couldn't give me $100 million a year. I wouldn't do it. 3 days a week, couple hours. Sure. Yeah, definitely. Film in my new AMG GT. What is it? It's called a SL. Not an SL. It's called a GT. Is this what it is? I ordered it. AMG GT. It's a coupe. It's like a sports car. You know, do some of those. Look how cool I am. You know, one of those things. That's it. Like that's all you do. With some hot bitch at dinner. Wow, you know, that's what people. I don't want to do that shit though. I just like to talk. I don't really care about like. How about a separation of church and state? How about having like your private life not being involved? And people today like sensationalize that, like, you know, like someone comes up to you and like they disrespect you. Like Clav has this guy come over and like try to step to him. Another looks maxer with like a jaw that's so chiseled it looks like he can bend a fucking diamond or crack it off with just the posterior mandible angle. It's like I think like having your private life separate from your public life, but influencers like blend both. The hustle never ends. It's like until you're dead, you know? But then you have these like conclaves. Like you have like people like the Paul brothers that are out in Puerto Rico paying zero income tax and living in this, like they're flying bitches in, or maybe not anymore. He's married, but you know what I mean? Like they're like living like that $25 million house in the middle of a fucking island just not to pay taxes. And they separate their life. And a lot of people do this the same way that like talk about social reforms. So like they live in a gated community. They don't live in the real world, or their social life is synthetic. Whatever you think they do to normalize themselves. Like I was at the coffee shop today. My newborn baby like spit up on my blouse. I was really embarrassed. Like just to normalize themselves. But they're not like everybody else. They're completely different. Can I hit 50 minutes? Thank God. Okay, I'm going to dinner. Have a good night. Bye-bye.